with his generosity, he's agreed to do a Q&A, and we're not the only Q&A that he's been doing here in Boca. But it's a real privilege to have someone of his caliber with us in the city and here in our shul. Harav Shmuel Fuerst is known as one of the main Talmidim of Rav Moshe Feinstein, and he's admired really across the world for his incredible encyclopedic knowledge of halacha, of hashkafa, being able to quote from all across Shas and Poskim. However, when you get to know Harav Shmuel Fuerst, I think what's even more incredible than his vast bikiyas in Kol HaTorah Kula is his vast and expansive leiv, his mesiras nefesh on behalf of Klal Yisrael, literally answering phone calls across the world at all hours of the day and night, having very close and impactful relationships with so many people, guiding Yidden literally all across the world. My relationship personally started with Rav Fuerst probably about 20 years ago when he would come to the yeshiva in Queens, and he was very close with Rabbi Diamond, who was the mashgiach of the yeshiva. And the relationship developed, and I thought throughout the years that I had something very special. I would call up, and he would know my name, and we would schmooze, and he would share with me not only hadracha and the question I was asking, but sometimes expand upon the issue. So I thought I was very special until I found out that he had that same unique relationship with hundreds of Rabbanim all over the place, impacting thousands of lives. So it's really an incredible zchus to have with us Harav Shmuel Fuerst Shlita, who will address us. We have questions, and without further ado, Harav Shmuel Fuerst. First question is, practically speaking, what are some guidelines for boys and girls swimming together? What ages? Does it make a difference if it's a sister or brother? If you have someone who's a trainer who's female, but she's training young boys, what are some of the guidelines?
Boys and girls to swim together, we allow until 5 years old. After that, they have to separate. The question is, which I get often, is sometimes the mother wants to go swimming, she wants to take her son along. Or father wants to go swimming, he's babysitting, to bring his daughter along. Until what age could the boy be there, and until what age can the girl be there, with the opposite gender? There's a psak from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, which I tell everybody. First of all, the Kehilla, you don't do it at all. Try to separate. They should not even be even 2-year-old. It doesn't make a difference. They should not be. They don't belong there. But if the question is Efsha, and she wants to go swimming, he wants to go swimming, and there's no eitzah. So according to Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, which is printed, he says that a girl could go when men are swimming. A girl's allowed to be there until 5 or 6 years old. That's what. For a boy, while women are there, up to 3 years old. Until 3 years old, and that's it. After 3 years old, boy, they cannot be by women swim because they're not dressed the swimming suits. They don't belong there. That's b'diavad. Chatchila, it's better not to be at all. But if you have no choice, then this is the Moshe like in a camp. This call comes from camp. People are away in the country in the summertime. Here in the country all year round. But East Coast and so on, it's winter now. But in the summertime, they're out in the mountains and so on, and they're swimming different times and so on. This is what I tell them that they could do, and not more than that. Now, question is, siblings, brothers, sisters, can they go swimming together? Cousins, friends, neighbors, can they go swimming together? Boys and girls. If it's siblings, brother and sister, we allow the sibling, a girl, if she goes with a complete cover-up, It's not the regular bathing suits, but it's a cover up from like you should with a dress or something like that. A complete cover up. We allow brothers and sisters to go swimming together. However, it's a cousin or any other type of friend and so on, it is asa. There's no heter whatsoever. You're close to them and so on, to a cousin, an uncle, aunt, whatever, asa. It has to be, you only like to swim with your same gender and that's it. Nothing else. It's only brothers and sisters, we allow them, sometimes go on vacation, they rent a house, and they have a swimming pool there and they want to go swimming together. As long as the girls are all wearing cover-ups, then it's okay. But that's only brother and sister, nothing else. Did I answer everything in there?
There's a swimming instructor.
Oh, a swimming instructor has to be the same gender. Sometimes we allow, it's young kids, we allow if she wears complete cover-up, but she can't wear.
We have the restriction in this past week's parsha regarding hitting a parent. How does it apply practically regarding if the son is a dentist wanting to help out his mother or father? Or let's say the father wants to play basketball together with his son and it gets a little bit rough. Some of those guidelines.
Since usually a parent is going to a dentist or anything else, they feel a lot safer with their son than anyone else. So there's a Minchas Chinuch, Minchas Chinuch says that, I think Mamtes or Mamches Mamtes, the Minchas Chinuch says that if they're Meichel, then it's okay. That's what we're saying. If the parent is Meichel, there's another reason. It says in Ramah, Ein le'achav, someone else. So some place can learn that if you go to different dentists, they're going to charge money. Your son is not going to charge you money. Hopefully not. So then that's like Ein le'achav. It's also, if they're getting it for free, other places will have to pay. So they're going to say le'achav, then the sheet is not make it like that. But mainly with Samech on the Minchas Chinuch, if the parent is Meichel, then it's okay. So that's what I do in dentists. Usually they clean the teeth, or if they're doing a filling, it's bleeding and so on. We hold it's okay.
And there's in this past week parsha as well, a Shiur Kenosha, that when one lends somebody else money, they can't pressure them to pay back. And the Rav gives some of the guidelines of what's considered pressure.
The Shiur Kenosha, if let's say you lend someone $1,000, I'm just throwing an amount of money. You lend them $1,000, and he's not paying it back. He said he'll pay it in 2 weeks. 2 weeks comes up, he doesn't say anything to you. So the question is, and he doesn't have the money. The only time the Issa Shiur Kenosha is only if you know he doesn't have the money. Then you're not allowed to go after him. However, if you have Suffolk, most Paiskim seem to hold that if the Das Kedoshim, they all hold that if you're not sure, then you always go and ask him. He might have the money, not have the money. If you know for sure he doesn't have it, then you can't bother him. But if it's something that you're Suffolk, then you always have a right to go and ask him. And most of the times when you're asking someone, it's a Suffolk. So therefore you could, as long as you don't badger him, you once in a while just remind him, what's with the $1,000 or something like that. So you should try to get it back. But people got to learn. I hate to say this, you cannot be a nice guy always. You can't be a nice guy always. You lend out money, some people don't pay back. You're not a bank. If it's a large amount of money, tell them to go borrow from a bank or something like that. Or go to a gemach. Every community has a gemach. I'm sure Boca Kehilla has. In Chicago, we have a gemach. And every community has gemachs today that they lend out money. Some lend up $1,000, some lend up $5,000. We have a gemach. We lend up to $50,000 in Chicago. It depends on the community and how big a community, and if it's a wealthy community or not a wealthy community. But don't lodge. That's what gemachim are for. And when gemachim lend money, they always have guarantors. Someone comes to you with $1,000 or $5,000, you're not going to ask for guarantors. But if you have an organization set up in such a way that we have in our organization in Chicago, we have 3 guarantors. If someone pay up, we go after the guarantor. And that's why we have all the money back, because at the end of the day, we could take them to court. We threaten to go to court. Some people just don't want to pay. We tell them, listen, first of all, we have to go after the guarantors. If not, then we threaten the guarantors. Forget about the person who borrowed the money. He doesn't have the money. But the guarantors usually make sure it's someone who has the money, and legally can go after them, and plus they must pay all court costs. So at the end of the day, they're gonna have to pay anyway. So usually we don't know settling. There's no settling. You borrow $100, you get back $100. There's no $50 we don't do these things. And all the money's intact. We always get the money back. You have to set up in such a way that it shouldn't be hefka. But you're not a bank. If people want to borrow money, if you know that you're going to get it back and so on, it's just a temporary thing, then lend them. But if you know that you're not going to get it back, or you're not sure you can get it back, don't lend. You're not mechuyev to lend. You're not mechuyev to. So you're not a nice guy. So what? At least you still have your $1,000 in your pocket. So I'm just saying, you don't have to. There are too many cases out there that people borrow money and they don't pay back. Yeah. I think I answered the question, no? Okay, all right.
Follow-up question. Someone was asking if they happen to owe money to a gemach or to an individual, are they allowed to give meiser to other causes or organizations in the meantime?
No.
Every spare dollar has to go back to
They have to pay. Chayvis, Ramah says clearly, in Hilchos Chayvis come first. Then only after you pay. First you have to pay all your debts. So you have credit card debts and so on. That comes before. Everything comes before. Any money you owe. No, first you pay up your debts. Then afterwards you can start thinking about meiser money, giving stock and so on. People don't realize that. They owe people hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in the meantime they're giving money out shelling out money to meiser and so on, to poor people and so on. That's wrong. Unless you have worked out in such a way, you pay monthly, paying weekly, or something like that. But someone owes you money, you owe someone money, you must pay him back. Chayvus come before tzedakah, meiser money.
Would the same thing be true if someone's not paying full tuition to their local yeshiva, that they can't give meiser money as well until every dollar should go to the yeshiva? Is
anyone here for any administration for any school over here? All right. Let me tell you some halachas in tzedakah I think you might not be aware of. Important halachas, and then we'll get to answer your question. Every school costs money to run. Let's say I'm just throwing it. Let's say they have 100 students. 100 students, and the budget is $100,000, let's say. $1 million, let's say. So it's $10,000. It's a student costs $10,000 a student. Many schools, they charge tuition $14,000, $15,000. What does it run over here? I'm not. Okay, it's higher. Well, let's say it's $15,000. So they're charging $15,000. So it sounds like they're making $5,000 profit. It costs the student only $10,000. But the thing is, you are subsidizing the ones who can't pay. That's what it really comes out to. It costs you 10,000 students for the school, each student. You're paying $15,000, but there's someone else paying only $5,000. It's only the money that's come from somewhere. The best thing is to get it. You don't have to. You get it from the tuition. They can't fight you on that. So you have to have you over the barrel. You want to send your kid to the school. So you're subsidizing someone else. So Moshe Feinstein held that extra $5,000 you can take off meiser money. You may take it off meiser money because really it costs to teach your son only $10,000. Now they're taking $15,000. Anything above the amount that with the cost of school to subsidize. Now some schools won't tell you. They don't want, because they say, I don't want to. Why should I pay $15,000? It cost me 10. Why should I pay 15? So normally they keep it hidden. They try to keep it hidden from the parent party. They should know. They think $50,000 that's what it costs the school, but it doesn't. But sometimes they won't tell you. But if you have if you know a little bit of mathematics, you can figure out what it costs per student. You see what the budget is, and you can see how you can figure it out. So again, that extra amount you're paying above. You're paying the extra $5,000, like the example I gave, that you can take off meiser money. But I'll tell you a bigger chiddush that Moshe once said. Let's say the tuition committee says you got to pay $15,000 per child, and you know what your income is, and most of the time they don't have a chmonis on you. Then you're gonna have to pay that $50,000. You have no choice. So the question is, I know. According to my salary and all the income that comes in, I only can afford $8,000. Honestly, you're honest. You make a cheshbon and say, "What I have to pay for this, pay for that, to pay budget. I have a lot of expenses. All I could do is pay $8,000, and you're charging me $15,000. and they're not going to listen to you. Most times they just tell you jump in the lake, and that's it. Too bad. So that extra $7,000 you can take off my money. Tell you here. That extra $7,000, you feel honestly, all you can pay is $8,000, and they're charging $15,000. The extra $7,000 you can take it from your money, as long as you're honest about it. If you're not sure, speak over with your Rava. Speak it over with someone who knows who you can speak it out with, and figure it out. That's what you should do.
Next question is more of a hashkafic question. The issue of having yeshiva students drafted into the IDF. On one hand, we have people in the community here who have sons who serve or who have served in the IDF. On the other hand, we appreciate the power of Torah being shmira. But Lamaisa, what do you answer? How do you really explain the fact that you have a whole segment of Klal Yisrael not participating?
We believe 100%. The only reason Eretz Yisrael is in existence since 1948, only the Tzchus HaTorah. I once heard from Reb Chaim Brim. I don't know if you heard of him. He's one of the Gedolei Hador in his time. He told me, he says, Eretz Yisrael is a small country. That time he said there were 80 million Arabs. Today probably is over 100 million for sure. But at that time he says there's 80 million Arabs. All they have to do is just walk. They all gather together, walk all Yisrael, they'll kill out the whole Eretz Yisrael until the ocean. They could do it. Elamai, how can they do it? Because the Baruch Hashem doesn't let. The whole Eretz Yisrael lives on Nisim. There's no way, common sense tells you Eretz Yisrael can't exist. There's so many Arabs. Arafat once told Menachem Begin, he says, if you kill 5,000 Arabs, we won't even feel it. If you kill 5,000 Jews, the whole country would be in mourning. He said, we have you over the barrel, he said. He says, we start a war with you. He didn't realize this is a Rabbeinu Shalom. That's all. It doesn't let it. But common sense, Eretz Yisrael should not exist. It's all, Chaim Brim told me, he was born in Eretz Yisrael. When he told me this, he was in the 80s already. He told me, he says, I'm born in Eretz Yisrael. I was born in Eretz Yisrael. He said, I saw Nisim the whole my life. This way, that way, but different ways. But the Baruch Hashem's there for us, protecting us, always in different ways. We believe strongly the Koyach HaTorah is the one that's saving Eretz Yisrael. As an army, they have no way they can win. They can't win. It's impossible. Even all the miracles, the dome and all these things. But B'derech HaTeva, and even that's Nisim. But B'derech HaTeva, they can't make it. I'll tell you an interesting story. 1956 was the war, what was it called? The Sinai War?
Sinai campaign?
56. There was a war in Eretz Yisrael. I forgot what the name of the war was. Anyway, in olden times, he told him in the 50s, there was no security that much. And Ben Gurion was driving a car. He's Rosh Hashanah was driving a car in Yerushalayim, and he's driving down near the Jewish neighborhood, and he sees the Rosh Yeshiva from Hebron, Cheskel Sani walking. So he opens his window, he opens his car. Excuse me. Only about 10, 15 people have it. I'll call you back later. I'm in place. Okay. Anyway, he's walking down the street, and Ben Gurion beeps his horn, and he stops Cheskel Sani. They go out, Shalom. He says hello. In those times, they didn't have the Secret Service, all these. They just drive themselves. The Memshol was driving himself. So he asked Cheskel Sani, what are you going to tell your grandchildren what you did to help Eretz Yisrael in our war now? What are you doing there? You guys are sitting by sitting and learning, and our children went and fought in the war. We won the war. What are you going to tell your grandchildren? Won't you embarrass yourself that you didn't do anything to help Eretz Yisrael? So you know what he answers? He says, you know what? While you were fighting there, we had 24-hour mishmarim saying Tillim every day, and people learning all day and night so that you should win the war. We fought it in the Beis Medrash. You didn't win the war. We won the war. We will proudly tell our children that we helped win the war. And that's it, because we davened and we learned. We had Ezra Shoyim, there's people didn't take no vacations, nothing. They're constantly learning. The schus that soul to win the war. The battle in that soul is of course, there are many people who don't understand the importance of Torah. Torah is, like the Saji Goin says, Torah, a person without Torah is like without ear. It's nothing. Torah is everything. Eretz Yisrael is a very nice thing to have, a country. But Torah is the most important thing in the world. Learning Torah, keeping the Torah, that's the most thinking. That keeps us as Am Hashem. Having a country at Yisrael doesn't keep us as Am Hashem. What keeps us as Am Hashem is learning Torah, doing mitzvahs, and showing our lost brethren who don't appreciate it, don't understand it, that someday they should see the light and understand that Torah is Dikah. And Baruch Hashem, there are a lot of Baalei Tshuva. And not even in Israel, Israelis that are Baalei Tshuva, and they see it. The main thing is, you have to realize that Schus Torah, that's it. And the more people sitting and learning Torah, the more Schusim Eretz Yisrael has, and there'll be less people dying.
Would the Rav agree conceptually that if you have people who are officially in a yeshiva system, but they're not really learning well?
So again, in every system, there's no foolproof system. You know, like in yeshiva, you have 100 Bacham in yeshiva. Let's say 80% are learning, 20% just joining the Charum. So it's in everywhere, in the business. Someone runs a business, he has hundreds of employees. There's certain ones that just join the Charum, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So in yeshivas also, you have people who join the yeshiva, they should be in the army. My opinion is anyone who's not learning full-time in yeshiva should go serve in the army. If you can't serve Klal Yisrael as a sitting and learning Torah, then serve him in different capacities and so on. Serve Klal Yisrael. But the ones sitting and learning Torah, those are the important ones that are learning. Take away from Torah, it'll be devastating for Klal Yisrael. They think they're going to have more soldiers. They'll do a better fight better. Ask the soldiers, they see Nissim day in and day out. Look at the difference of how many people are killed in the Arabs and how many are killed from the Yidden. You see the difference, the proportion. It's all because of the learning of Torah. The Nissim, the Rebbe Shem does for Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael throughout your generations lives only on Nissim. I think I answered the question?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We learned about the restriction of drawing pictures of the sun and the moon and stars. Is there any heter of taking a picture of a beautiful sunset? Or would that be part of that isser?
If it's a full sun, then you're not allowed to. If it's when it's going down, when it's, like it takes, I once counted, it's exactly 2 minutes. From the sun starting going down from time is 120 seconds. A number of times I sat by the sun going down and looked, 120 seconds. That's what Chazal say, in 2 minutes. So that's why the whole machlokes is when the shkia start, when the sun is down already, or when it starts going down. But the difference is only 2 minutes. So anyway, when to take a picture of a sun is us, you're not allowed to. That's the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, it's the Din Shulchan Aruch in Yudei Sim Kuf Aleph. It's clear cut. A Pasha sun, a picture of a half. I tell people, you want to make a picture of sun, make a half a picture. Make a half a picture. Because the sun, Taisa says in Newman, Taisa in Rosh Hashanah says, this is the way it's always seen. The sun is a moon, you see part of a moon, depends what part of the month. A sun is always complete, it's never. So if I only make a picture of a half a moon, then no problem. And it's important, when Moshe writes in the Tshuva, that even for chinuch, for kids, let's say in the school, they draw a picture of a sun, you draw it in and so on. That's wrong chinuch. They now make a picture of a sun. You should not do that. I tell them, so schools, I say, what should they do? This is part of the curriculum. I said, make a half a sun, or 3/4 of the sun. Don't make a full sun. That's it. A moon, even a partial moon is not permitted. Because since you can see it at different, Taisa says, because you can see it at different stages. When it's big, small, and so on. So even to draw a partial moon is not permitted. You're not allowed to do it. You can't take a picture of it.
The Chidah writes, part of the vidui is that a person is not allowed to be mistakel b'levana. Is that something practically that we would tell people is usher? To gaze at the moon?
The Dina, we don't hold like that.
How about regarding a rainbow?
The rainbow, that's put down. The Chayodim says you shouldn't tell other people that you saw that there's a rainbow out there. Why? There are many kashas on it. But that's what's put in Chayodim, Mishabuv Zalacha. That's the halacha. Why is a big question. But Maisa, since they pass him, Kaposak, Paskin, and that's the halacha. You don't tell other people. You shouldn't tell people about a rainbow.
Is there any way that a man is allowed to go to a mixed gym?
Shouldn't go. I don't know of any heter to go to a mixed gym, unless you go when no one's there. That's why I understand they made it I myself went. I'm here in a few days. I went to the gym. There's a film gym. There's no one. When I go, there's no one there because everyone's in school. But there's a gym that's only made just for men. You know what I'm talking about, the gym? It's on the other side of town. It's right next to yeshiva, right next door to yeshiva. You all know where Laksa Bagels is, no? So it's in that mall. There's a gym there for men.
Regarding the obligation of being mafresh
Well, let me
challah,
tell you one thing. Talking about gym, I hold it's very important. Everyone has to do exercise. Men and women, you must do exercise. I know you don't like to hear what I'm saying, but I'm telling you Musa. It's so important to do exercise every day. It's healthy. You think different. You work different. I myself, every day, I go on a treadmill. 5 days a week. Friday is very hard. I try, but most of the time I'm not able to do it. And sometimes Motzei Shabbos, depends how late Shabbos is. I do exercise every day, 40 minutes. And I'm busy also. I'm just as busy as all of you, probably, if not more. You got to do exercise. Very important. It's healthy for you. It's healthy for your mind. And according to medical, it's proven medically that it saves you from different machlas. I personally lost over 50 pounds from doing exercise. You must do it exercise. It's very important, and it's important for your health and so on. No matter what, especially if you have diabetic or you have other problems, physical problems, it's very healthy. It must be done. Swimming, treadmills, all type of exercise, whatever the doctor tells you to do. But it's important for you to do it. Okay, I'm sorry it wasn't a part of questions, but I hope you heard what I had to say. Okay.
I remember calling the Rav one time, and on the other end of the phone, I heard the Rav breathing very heavily, and
I answer the phone while I'm on the treadmill. Why not? If it's something I have to give a lengthy answer, I said, call me back in 20 minutes, that's all. But the person, I asked the person, I'm on the treadmill. Do you want to talk now or you want to call me back in 20 minutes? That's all.
Regarding the obligation of being mafresh challah, if someone has two different doughs in two different bowls, and each one is, let's say, about 3 pounds. So each one individually you wouldn't make a bracha on, but altogether you have more than 5 pounds.
You're making the same type of dough. You're baking challah, you're baking, everything's the same.
So how about both scenarios?
Okay. If you're both baking regular challah for Shabbos, so the best thing to do is to cover with a towel. So you should have all together under the towel, should have 5 pounds of flour. Then you can make a bracha. Not doing that is a shailon paiskim. So the best thing is to cover with a towel. It's two different bowls. That's if it's all making the same challah. You're making, say, regular challah with flour and so on. Some people make challah, and for health purposes, they use different type of spelt, or they use whole wheat challah and something like that. So you can't, since you want them separate, you bake it separate. Each one has its own challah. So maybe you don't want them to starve together, then you don't make, if you use with each one less than 5 pounds of flour, you don't make a bracha. You take off challah without a bracha. The chiyuv challah with a bracha, you have to use 5 pounds of flour. Without a bracha, it should be over 2 pounds, 10 ounces.
It's common now to have a challah bake, where you could have theoretically 50, 60 women get together, and they have massive things of dough, but each person's only taking home their own challah.
Then they should not make a bracha. That's a masachalik.
Is there any limud chus in the fact that on all of these challah bakes they do make a bracha?
If you learn Posh Pshat in Shulchan Aruch, you're not allowed to do it. I don't ask them. Okay.
Question that was posed that I could relate to. Personally, I have my oldest daughter in seminary. What do we do about seminaries when it's basically $30,000 a year and it's now a necessity for all girls? It's a very
serious problem. About 3-4 years ago, at a Midwest convention on a Motzei Shabbos, I happened to be speaking, and I came out strongly against them. It was on internet, it was in paper and so on, complaining against them that they're charging way above. In Bochum, you don't charge that amount. And plus, Shabbos, it's a profit maker. It's not a non-profit. It's a profit-making institution. And then I said every community has to make their own seminary in Eretz Yisrael. To be away from home is also a good thing for a year. And they should make their own seminary and charge only $15,000. And I checked into it. Everyone will have a nice panosa. They won't drive a Rolls Royce like one of them does in Eretz Yisrael. There's a guy going to 4 seminaries. He was driving a Rolls Royce. It showed that he was making money somewhere. So anyway, you should charge $15,000. After they got a call from someone, he says, "I'm doing it. I'm making for $15,000. I'm making a seminary at Yisrael." He got 600 applications for first year. It was last year. It was 2 years ago. Very successful. He's full packed. He did second year. He went to $15,500. That's it. He says he's not going with $15,500. Well, Hashem, he's full. He's not complaining. He's making panasa. Now right now this year my granddaughter's there, and Baruch Hashem, he says he's very successful. The other seminaries are very upset with him, of course. In fact, I know we're on tape over here, but I'll say it anyway. The seminaries called him up. You hear this? In the middle of last year winter, they called him up. He told me the story. They called him up and says, "Listen, we want you to go up to 8. We want to hike the 30,000 to 32,000. So we want you to hike $2,000. If Uncle Sam would know about it, they put him in jail. This is you're not allowed to do. It's illegal." They called him up and said, "You're charging 15 here. We want you to charge 18, so we can hike our high up because you're still 15 and a half, and we're over 30 already. You know, it has to be something." So they asked them to please hire a thing. They said, "No, we're keeping it at 15 and a half." If they went up, I don't know, but I'm just saying is that they did go up. Okay, but they tried. Okay, but I'm just saying by me I can't call Geneva because you owe him to give that money, but they have you over the barrel. That's the problem. And I was hoping that's one seminary. My dream is that every community across the United States should make their seminary. The high school should extend the seminary, and I'll seminary for everybody. Someone else goes. I went to girls 4 years. I want to be with someone else now. You know what I mean? So a couple of seminaries should open up for $15,500, and you can make a nice panasa. Yes, you don't, and people can afford it. You have to realize if you pay $30,000 a seminary, it's not only the seminary alone, plane tickets, spending money, and they also tell you if you're going to go on a trip, you got to pay for that also. After the chutzpah of taking $30,000, they're also charging you extra for the trips and so on. There's a lot of chutzpah, but a lot of chutzpah because they have you over the barrel. If people stand up and make new seminaries, and I think that would change the whole. We have 4 or 5 seminaries like that. They'll all go down because no one's going to go to them. They make good seminaries from seminaries, and the girls enjoy it. And my granddaughter told me she's having great. She's learning tremendous over there in that seminary.
Can the Rav help our daughters get into that seminary?
Glad someone called me. Last week, I got a call from 2 weeks ago. I got a call from a parent, and if I can get them into that seminary. So I said, I'll try. So I called up, and they said if her grades are, I didn't know the girl how well she knew what her grades were. I said, they told me if the grades are good enough, we're taking her in. That's what they told me.
Does the Rav have any guidelines or suggestions or just words of chizuk for someone who's working in an environment where you have men and women together, and it might not be the most kosher atmosphere?
Sorry. I'll move a shoe now. I'll call you back later. Again, what was the question?
Someone who's working in an environment.
Environment. A person has to work on their Yiras Shamayim. Today we're living in a generation where there's no guidelines. Everything's hefker. We as Fuma Yidden, men and women, Fuma Yidden, we have to be the moral of the world today. We have to show them what's right and what's wrong. We have to realize in an environment, you have to dress like a Bas Yisrael. Because the other ones don't dress properly, it doesn't mean you can dress them properly. You might look like a misfit and so on. You're a Bas Yisrael. You are a soldier of the Rabban Shalom. Every Yid, Fuma Yid, is a soldier of Rabban Shalom, and a job of each person is to Mikar Shem Shemayim. If They see. You have to realize, even the ones, the most creature people, they see a woman, Bas Yisrael, dressing properly. At the end of the day, they might think she's crazy, she's a Nebi and this and whatever. But at the end, they know this is the truth. They know the truth. Sneeze is something that a woman feels it. Even a guy feels, this certain things are not proper. But they do because everyone else does it. That's hefker. But they have to realize, Bas Yisrael, Ben Yisrael, you must do Kiddush Hashem. Because everyone in the office is cursing and so on. That doesn't mean you could curse. There's no head to curse. You have to be a Ben Yisrael or Bas Yisrael. You're here to serve, to make Kiddush Hashem. Every person's job in this world is to Mekadosh Hashem Shemayim. Each one their own way. A Rebbe his way, a teacher his way, someone works in a business office, and you have to see a person with morals. They know that they're honest. A lot of places, companies, they'll give a fum yid to take care of books because if someone else is going to steal, it's going to rob them blind. They know that someone is a fum person, they trust him more. They know that they need him to do something, it'll be done. I know the Goyish companies sometimes put a yid to run certain things, even though they have a problem with Shabbos and Yantiv, they're not there and so on, but it's worth it for them to have a fum person because they know things will be run properly. That's Kiddush Hashem. A person's job, whatever he's doing, we're not telling one to sit and learn the rest of their life. You can serve a Bani Shalom even by being in the business place. Being honest, ehrlich, and treat everyone nicely. And act like a yid should act. That's walking. We have to be a walking Kiddush Hashem. That's our job in this world, to be a walking Kiddush Hashem. Whatever you're doing. Sometimes you go, I'll tell you an interesting story. A fellow went, a bacher, a 17, 18-year-old bacher went to the bank. He cashed a check. Check was for $4,000. They gave him cash. And he came home. He counted the money. It was $5,000. The officer at the bank, whoever the teller at the bank, gave an extra $1,000. Yeah. He wanted to go back. The bank was closed. So he went the next day. He went back. So he went over to one of the main offices in the bank. He says, listen, one of your tellers made a mistake, but I don't want you to fire her. I'll tell you what it is, but I don't want you to fire her. Fire the teller. So he said, okay. What happened? He told him he gave extra $1,000. So he called over, they showed him which was the teller. Called over the teller. He says, I told you he was Jewish, that he's going to come back with $1,000. Yeah? That's what the office of the bank says. The Jewish, he's going to come back with $1,000. A regular guy would never run away with it, never show up, and that's it, forget it. That's Hechidam Kiddush Hashem. We are walking Kiddush Hashem. And they know that. And they know, even though they think we're crazy and we're like I said, nebbies and so on, well, Maisa, the buck stops here. We have a Shulchan Aruch, you have to follow the Shulchan Aruch. You follow Shulchan Aruch, you can never go wrong. It's in everything in life. The way you deal with your children, the way you deal with the Hamoinam and so on. You be ehrlich, you only see success. If you're ehrlich, you see success. If you're not ehrlich, that's when tzara start. And besides that, your children see it also. If you're honest, the children will be honest also. If you're not honest and you cheat and so on, your children, where do they learn it from? They learn from the parents. If you're honest with them, you give them the right morals, they will continue in the next generation like that also. It's so important. We have to make sure we have to be role models for our children in everything. In Shabbos, in Kedusha, in everything. We have to keep our lives, live a Torah-dik life. That's the only way we will bring the next generation to follow that way also, as being a role model. Just teaching in school is beautiful, but you also the children need role models. Parents must be role models to their children to show them how to live, how a Torah Jew has to live. Did I answer the question?
Beautifully.
Okay. All right.
Maybe one last question here. The Rav throughout the decades has had the incredible schus to be very close with many Gedolei Yisrael.
Yeah.
Any particular stories that were inspiring to the Rav personally? Encounters with Rav Moshe, Rav Shlomo Zalman?
I was asked a question last night, the same question last night. I like to say, I saw malachim. I didn't see people. I was Zeicha, Rav Moshe, Rav Shlomo Zalman, Rav Yashiv, Yisrael Yanka Fisher. They were, Alan H. Steinman, they were malachim in this world. They weren't regular human beings like you and me. They were malachim. The way they hanhaga, the way they lived their life and so on, they were malachim. I tell people, I didn't see Gedalim. I saw Malachim. They lived such a pashut life and such a nice life, a beautiful life. You see how they dealt with people. I watched Ramosha. People used to come into Ramosha. I was sitting by him. People were coming into Ramosha. The way he treated every person. Kakatan Kagala. Doesn't make a difference. Was a 10-year-old boy or I once brought my son to him. He's 6 years old at that time. He asked him, "What are you learning?" He showed interest. He gave a bracha. It didn't make a difference who it was. If he was rich, poor, everyone was equal by him. Didn't make a difference. And so Noimkeit, the way he dealt with everybody. I'll tell you one story. Once in the middle of davening, his grandchildren came running in to say Shalom Aleichem to the Zayda. And Moshe's middle of davening. So two things he did. First of all, a few kids came. Someone was Zainiklech and someone was friends of Zainiklech. He gave all the kids a kiss. Even the ones not Zainiklech, he gave them a kiss also. Secondly, he gave other kids, kissed in the Beis Medrash. So kissing Beis Medrash is probably the end of davening, after davening. So this is only during davening. But he once told somebody, even in the middle of davening, if the child is going to be upset and so on like that, you can kiss him during davening also. If you know the child will be upset, you don't get when the first time you don't see him, you don't get a kiss, he'll feel hurt a little bit. Then it's kedai to give him a kiss, even during davening. Even though you shouldn't do it then, but Mokum Tzarech is okay. Secondly, he kissed all the other. It wasn't his children, it wasn't his grandchildren, but he felt that he's hurting the other. He's kissing them, not kissing them. How can you differentiate? So he kissed them all. It's something. You have to be a big person to think like that. These are big people. These are giants. They think like that. Rav Shlomo Zalman, the way he treated women, the way he treated men, and so on. The stories and stories, how he treated them. He was the Ben Adam HaChaveiro. Even though they were so big in Torah, they were giants in learning, but they were giants in Ben Adam HaChaveiro also. The same Torah that they gave out to Klal Yisrael, in Midas Torah also. You can read any of the books from Moshe, Shlomo Zalman, Rabbi Yosha, so on. They were malachim. I call them malachim. I didn't see people. They were malachim. Who else would think like that? I kiss my grandchild. What's he got to do with it? Okay, say Shalom Aleichem. Be nice, pat him on the cheek or something like that. Kiss them. You have to be someone at a different level to think like that, because you might hurt someone else's feeling. There's so many stories. Just look at the books. Some of the stories. These are great people. These are great people. We're so godless by them, in everything and anything. But there were times there's a takif. You know what I mean? There were beautiful moments I saw by him, but sometimes I saw him strong moments that someone wanted to do something against Shulchan Aruch, something like that. He wouldn't stand for it. And he says, you're arguing with Torah. You can't argue with Torah.
Okay, on behalf of the entire tzibur, we thank the Rav so much for his
time. No problem. Hatzlacha. You only see nachas and simcha.
Amen.
This is
All right.